if you would ask us internally what kind of company you are, we would tell you we're a technology company, and we are. And there's been a couple of things that we've always kept front and center, which is stay current with technology, don't get behind, and it's okay to be ahead of that technology.
What key market trends do you see in Canadian real estate, and how is Yardi positioning itself to address these trends?
Remember I said we grew as a company, we followed our clients. By doing that, allowed us to understand the local requirements in real estate and where our clients were growing, and we designed our technology and our applications to be able to be modified easily to meet those local requirements. So we stay focused. We've been blessed in Canada. We have 85 to 90% market share in both multifamily and commercial real estate in this country. When you have that kind of market share, the goal is being responsible and being proactive and ensuring the fact that we have to show up day in and day out to make sure our clients are successful.
Welcome to the Mastering Property Management Podcast. I'm your host, Yardi Systems. Join me as we delve into candid conversations with industry experts to uncover their strategies and insights for achieving success in property management. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, let's elevate your property management skills together. Hi, everybody. I'm Yardi Systems, and this is Mastering Property Management. Today, I have the honor and privilege of having Peter Altobelli on. Peter is the VP of Yardi Canada, and incredibly excited to have you on, Peter. This is I've done quite a few of these podcasts now, and almost without fail, Yardi comes up in the podcast. So I knew I had to get you on. Yardi's a huge name in the property management industry. So I can't tell you how excited I am to have you here.
Thanks, Jared. It's a pleasure, and thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, why don't you get into it? Tell me who Yardi is, a little bit of history, and who they are in the marketplace today.
Yeah, sure. So Yardi's we're a technology company. We're a real estate technology company, which means to us is that the only industry we work in is in the real estate industry for property managers, asset managers, institutional investors. And it's been our history. We're celebrating our 40th year this year, where we started out with one individual in a house that wrote a little piece of software in 1984, decided to write a little piece of property management software, and then sold one, sold two, sold four, and now we're at 9,500 employees around the world with over 40 offices. It has become a significant undertaking in terms of running an organization this size, as well as providing technology solutions for the real estate market throughout the world. And that means different things depending on where you are in the world, as well as different asset classes. In Canada, we primarily sell and support our clients across all asset classes. So it's multifamily, it's commercial, which would be industrial, retail, office. We're into condo management and strata management, condo in Canada, strata in British Columbia. We provide a great series of products around social housing and senior housing across the country as well. And then for our institutional owners and managers, we're providing products that manage investments in real estate, or what we call fund level accounting and complex ownership structures for those organizations that are typically pension funds and private equity accounts. So in a snapshot, it's all things real estate, right? It's all things real estate. We do consider ourselves a technology company, not a real estate company, because we really focus in on automating and improving our clients' ability to do work, cut their costs, increase their revenues, and add value to their portfolios. That's us in a nutshell. And again, in the United States, we're also very big in it. But when we go to other countries, whether it be the UK or Europe or Asia Pac, the product offerings are slightly different to meet the needs of those particular markets.
Amazing. That's incredible. What a story. And so ahead of his time. What's the name of the gentleman that started it?
So back in 1984, Anit Yardi was in a middle management position. He was a software engineer at a computer company that was located in Santa Barbara, California. That company decided to relocate back to its head offices, I believe, in Chicago. And Jared, if you've ever been to Santa Barbara, it's a beautiful place to live. He had 3 young kids, and they didn't want to move. So he decided, he knew a little bit about real estate management, so he decided instead of trying to find another job, that he would write his own little property management software product on an Apple IIe. And by the way, this was before anything was known as a hard drive. So this was when we had these things called floppy disks. And I don't even know if some of your listeners will even know what a floppy disk is. But it was a disk that you could move around. It wasn't very sturdy. And he wrote a piece of software and sold it out of his home. And eventually hired his first employee and grew the company from that point over these last 40 years. And now we're the largest provider of real estate software technology in the world. It is significant in size and shape. And I think this year we're hitting a milestone where we'll hit $2 billion in top line revenues this year. So it's a big milestone for us. It took 40 years to get here. It didn't happen overnight. And a lot of hard work and a lot of growing with our clients.
Amazing. What an awesome story. That's it definitely resonates with me, that's for sure. So beautiful. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I went through the website and looking at the executive managers on Yardi, like it seems like everyone's been there for an extensive amount of time. Like we're talking, 20 years, 30 years. I believe you've been there since 1998. Is that correct?
I have. So I've been as an employee since 1998. I was affiliated with Yardi since 1989. And so in the 1980s, I was a programmer. I was a program analyst. I wrote software. That's what I did. I went to school for it. Was working in the healthcare industry at a hospital here in the Hamilton area where I live. And I decided that, writing software for a living was good, but I really wanted to do something else. I wanted to be self-employed. So I started to look around for software applications in which I could sell. And it's a point in time. So in the late 1980s, PCs were brand new. Like this was a brand new industry. It wasn't like everyone had laptops and computers all around. Computers were incredibly expensive. They were probably, an average computer in the late 1980s, a PC would have been between $5,000 and $7,000 each. And it maybe had 10 megabyte hard drive. And that was considered huge. And what were you going to use with all this space? So it was a burgeoning industry. I wanted to get involved with the PC industry. I could see that this was the way that things were going to go and happen. And so I decided to look at the real estate industry. And it was not for any big thing other than there was a housing boom going on in the late 1980s. And I thought it'd be cool to get into real estate. So I started researching products and came across this company called Yardi and picked up the phone and called them and said, hey, I'd like to be a reseller of your products. And I've got, I already install hardware and networking, and I'd like to resell your products and sell it to the real estate industry. I knew nothing about property management. I knew nothing about cost accounting and job costing and nothing. I just was a programmer. I thought I should try to do this. And so I did. So my father and I created this small little company. I quit my job a month before I got married, and which my future father-in-law at that time thought there was a real problem because I'm marrying his daughter and quitting a job, which was a very good job at a very stable hospital and going on my own. But fast forward, my father and I had this small little company. He eventually retired from it, and I continued with it. And in 1998, I sold it back. I sold it to Yardi Systems, opened their office, became the first employee, and then grew the company from 1998 to what it is today. We have over 500 employees in 3 offices, Vancouver, Saskatoon, and the larger office located in the Greater Toronto area.
Wow.
And that's how I got involved. And it wasn't some master plan. I just kind of fell into it, learned by making tons of mistakes in the early years and kind of learning that it's okay to make a mistake, just not twice. You make it once, you learn from it, you move on, and you go from there. But we've had lots of acceptance in the market, and we're very pleased, but also very humbled by the experience as well as the acceptance in the market in Canada and the number of companies that have chosen to invest with us and use our products.
Beautiful. So when you called in 1989, is that, I believe you said, when you called, did you speak right to Anand? Like, was he?
No, I did not. I spoke to a sales rep actually, and I still remember the voice as if it was yesterday. If I was talking to him yesterday, and at that time, Yardi wasn't doing a lot of direct sales. They were going through resellers. So their sales pitch was to go to get a reseller, and that reseller would sell locally. Right. And that's what they were looking for. And that's what I was offering. And that was the trend then. That trend changed, 8 or 9 years later. That trend started changing where software companies started doing direct sales. But then PCs, don't forget, were brand new. And you needed to do more than just sell a piece of software. That you had to sell software, but you also had to sell the services around it, the installation, the support, the training, and a lot of times you had to sell all the hardware and networking because companies just didn't have computers sitting on desks. And so that's what we did. We would go in and sell the hardware, set them all up, set the networks up, install the Yardi software, train your staff, and then support those companies moving forward. Until the technology changed in the late 1990s, and there was a big technology change at that time. And with that change, software companies had to become larger and more sophisticated and undertake the sales and the support directly because the technology became more complex of the day. And now don't forget, this is everything of the day, right? In the 1990s, not 2024. So, and that's why it made sense for us we had success throughout the 90s, sell the company and join them and set up the infrastructure here and really have Yardi Systems invest in Canada in the sense of employees and offices and created Yardi Canada Limited and continued moving forward from that point.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Tell me a little bit about what are the qualities? I mean, you were employee number one in Canada, and now you're at 500. Certainly, you had to have played a large role in growing this, the business here in Canada. What are the qualities that Peter, has that has gotten you to this point?
I think when you're growing any kind of organization in any kind of group, and we were not a household name, and we still aren't. We're not a household name. We're an industry name, but not, general public doesn't really know who we are as an organization. But when you're trying to start up from scratch, where you've got no one here and you're trying to build, you're building based on, it's not a women of prayers. So you're not trying to tell people, oh, join our company, we're going to be the best thing since sliced bread and bottled beer. We're not. What we're going to be is the best we can be as people. And in the early stages when we were hiring, we were looking for good quality people that had depth of character to them. Knowing that it would take time to teach, knowing that it would take time to train, knowing that it would take time to grow as a company. And we were looking for people that had good quality in their characters, as well as individuals that were looking to stay on to a company and help that company grow. It wasn't going to be fast cash in and out. It wasn't going to be these overnight successes that you hear a lot about in technology today, where you get these startups that have 4 people and then they're trying to sell a company for $1 billion in technology. This was going to be a long-term, slow but steady growth style organization. Yardi is family run. It is still family run today. It is completely private by the Yardi family. And we like it that way. So we were looking for, and still do, individuals that are looking to grow their careers, looking to dedicate themselves to understanding our business and becoming the best that they can be in that business. And that was always something that we tried to instill in all of our employees, whether it was 1998 or 2024. That's still the case today. In terms of the qualities, I would say a dedication, an openness to change, an openness to listen to our clients, patience with ourselves as an organization, as well as patience in terms of what our clients are looking for, and always being there to provide services and support to our clients, because without them, we're not going to exist. And they have to come first. And in those kinds of qualities around what it is. And we did encapsulate it in our motto, which is take care of our clients, take care of each other, and by each other means employees, stay focused, and grow. And in addition to that, give back to the communities in which we live. And that's kind of our company, short form of our company motto. But those are the qualities that we're looking for when we're hiring. Those are the things that we want our corporate culture to extend to the individuals who work with us and for us. And those are the things that we want our clients to see. And that's kind of been our formula for the success we've had as an organization.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. If you can execute on that motto, that's powerful stuff. That's beautiful. Yeah. And clearly you have.
So far, so good. There's you never say never.
Yeah.
There's always a changing world. Jared, even yourself, you have your own organization, right? If you look at people you're hiring today, say, versus people you hired 10 years ago, the needs of people 10 years ago and even 15 or 20 years ago and today are dramatically different. New employees, especially young people, are faced with different challenges that we didn't get faced with. And yet when we were looking for our first jobs, we had challenges our parents didn't face. And so you have to be flexible enough to understand those challenges and modify what we do as a company to meet the challenges of your new employees, because these new employees, these young people are what you're counting on for the future of the organization, right? And you have to make sure that you're meeting their needs, that there's a good foundation of people, you're meeting your needs, allowing them to grow in a way that they can feel secure in their lives and grow their lives.
Wise words. Being a part of Yardi for over 2 decades, witnessing changes, as you just mentioned, but in the property management industry, especially, I'm sure it's changed. I assume a fair bit. How has Yardi evolved during that time, particularly in response to technological advancements?
So, if you would ask us internally what kind of company you are, we would tell you we're a technology company, and we are. And there's been a couple of things that we've always kept front and center, which is stay current with technology. Don't get behind. And it's okay to be ahead of that technology. So when we look at it, going back to our roots, an Apple IIe was the real cool little plaything way back in the 1980s, this thing called a computer that was going to sit on someone's desk that was so new and so innovative. And when our owner wrote that piece of software on the Apple IIe, it was a very innovative thing. But then this company called IBM that sold these massive multi-million-dollar computers came down, and they created this thing called a PC. And he migrated over to that PC because he could see at that time that the IBM world, under this thing called MS-DOS, this company called Microsoft, this little company was starting to lead the pack on technology. So we migrated over to that technology. And then from there, this thing called Windows came out in the mid-1990s that was very cool. You had this little thing called a mouse that no one really knew what to do with, but you can roll it and click it and do some things. But we could see that technology was going to be the technology of the future. In each one of these areas, from the Apple to the IBM DOS to the Windows-based software, we modified and changed and rewrote our software to keep up with the technology of the day, even though the industry wasn't ready at that time. So we tried to stay ahead of the curve. And then in the late 1990s, when client-server technology came out, and then all of a sudden this thing called the internet came out that no one really understood other than you can go online, you can see a bunch of screens and things, but there was no business applications needed for this thing called the internet. But this was going to be the thing that changed the world. We were there before our clients were there. And every step technology changed, whether it be DOS to Windows to client server to the internet and now to the cloud and mobility. When mobility became a big thing, when the iPhone and the Android devices came out 12, 14, 15 years ago, we were there with apps. We were there ahead of the curve. So we want our clients to know that we're a technology company that's ahead of the curve, and that when they're ready, they can migrate to those products. That they don't need to migrate them to the right away, but when they're comfortable and ready with that technology, we're ready for them. And now with artificial intelligence on its way out, we're releasing all of our AI technology, but saying to our clients, it's not going to accomplish the world. The AI technologies need to solve business problems. We think these are the initial products that will meet your needs. And when you're ready, we're there. But understand, as it relates to AI, we have a very long-term development plan for artificial intelligence, because that will be the next generation coming off mobility in the cloud and into AI over the next 10 plus years. And we're there already. But when you're ready, then look at it. And we're ready when you're ready to deploy it. And as a company, we're able to do that now. It's always been our philosophy, and it's always allowed us to stay ahead of the curve and keep our clients and grow with our clients. And that's item number one. Item number two in this, which was the second half of this, is grow with your clients. Meaning that when your clients want to grow with them. Go at their pace, not at your pace. And although we're ready with technology and we're going to have our own R&D and be ready with products, But when your clients are ready to grow, and I alluded to this earlier, then you grow with them. Grow with them in terms of updating their systems and making their systems more current and more savvy of today's world, but also grow in terms of how did Yardi grow around the world. So our growth is just not magical. We have offices in 45 countries. That just didn't occur. That growth was spun by our clients. So when our clients decided to expand, we expanded with them. And we asked the question on what are the business needs? What are your problems in these countries? And how can we help you have a solution as you grew beyond, say, the United States and Canada, and you grew abroad? And as they did that, we provided solutions to meet those needs. So as they grew and became larger organizations, we grew and became a larger organization along with them. And so when you're dealing with individual organizations in any one of these countries, we're now prepared to deal locally in those countries and deal with the needs of local real estate companies in each of the countries in which we do business in. But the growth was really based on the technology and the growth with our clients and following our clients to individual countries outside of, say, North America. And that's kind of been the story. And that's why it's not an overnight success. We didn't go from $0 to $2 billion overnight. It took 40 years, right? Because it's slow, it's steady, it's thought through, and it's disciplined in terms of these directions and how we approach our markets and our clients.
Very innovative. I hear you guys have to have an incredibly innovative team to foresee the trends and to know where to be ahead of the.
Yeah, and Jared, I would say to you, it sounds really good. It's not perfect.
Fair enough.
Any company, It's not perfect, right? There's ups, there's downs, but we had another really good on at Yardi who still runs today as a CEO of the company, was not afraid to fail. Failure for him is a learning opportunity, and that's one of the things he instilled with all of us who run the organization or help him run the organization. Failing is not negative. Failing is an opportunity to learn to do it better and quicker. And when I look back, there's a variety of products that we thought were going to be really good for the market, and we had good feelings for, and we brought them out that didn't work and didn't work well, and we ended up having to throw them out and redo them. But every time we actually had to throw them out and redo them, what came out was something better, stronger, and more effective for the market and for the clients. And that learning process, when you're not afraid to fail, when you're not afraid to fail, gives you a competitive edge, because it's okay to make a mistake because you learn from it. And that's how you move forward with it. And that philosophy in our development cycles and everything we do gives us a solid foundation on really moving forward.
Yeah, brilliant. Very good. Property management is becoming increasingly data-driven. How does Yardi help property managers leverage data to make smarter decisions and improve asset performance?
So, very detailed question. We often tell clients it's a single version of the truth. And it's not one of these sales quotes that you throw out there as salespeople, but it's the reality behind it. I was with a client earlier this week. I was in Vancouver. And this is a very large tier 1 real estate company in this country. They manage tens of thousands of multifamily units, tens of millions of square feet of commercial space. And I was dealing with an executive vice president who said to us, and they're owned by a pension fund, so they have a lot of growth. They buy a lot of companies and portfolios across the world. He said, without Yardi, we wouldn't have been able to grow the way we did. We had the ability to grow in terms of the funding, but Yardi gave us a platform to grow because we were able to scale this around the world. And the reason for that statement was, and he said to us, it's the single version of what I need. Everything I need to make a decision to understand my existing portfolio, I can get from your system. I don't have to go to other systems. I don't have to get things interpreted, because when you have multiple systems, sometimes the data is not always the same. The reporting is not always the same. Which one's right? Which one's wrong? How do you merge them together? He said, we don't have to do any of it. When we want an answer, we go into our Yardi software and we run the reports we need, and we have a variety of running reports or dashboards or what have you, and we get the information we need and we can make quick decisions. First thing. He said, and that helps us grow. The second thing is optimization. Everything we do, whenever we go out there and expand, we bring everything into our Yardi environment because we can optimize the portfolio or the company in which we have acquired. And he said, there's an immediate benefit, cost savings benefit and efficiency benefit to us whenever we do that. He said, and Yardi's, as a partner of theirs, as a supplier partner of theirs, has been able to provide that to them and their organization. And that's what motivates us as a company. That is the only thing that motivates us as a company. And that's, for me, that's great to hear. It's great to hear that they're getting the true benefit from what we do what we do in the industry. And that's why we do what we do.
Amazing. Very, very good.
And so that data, and that drives to data, right? That drives to a point where it's one version of the truth. All the data is in one spot. When I need something, I can pull it out. I can see it. I can visualize it. I understand it. And I can make business decisions around what it means to me.
Excellent. Excellent. Could you give some examples of what kind of information, as an outsider, from the janitorial industry, I haven't used Yardi myself. What stories does it tell? I mean, I'm sure there's many, many stories, but can you give some examples?
Yeah. So data is at different levels, right, in an organization. So if I'm a line manager and I'm dealing in operations of a property, the information I'm going to get is going to be maybe from the department I run or what I'm responsible for. So I'm in operations, okay? And I need to do a variety of different things, whether it be in a commercial portfolio, residential portfolio, strata portfolio, condo portfolio, right? Whatever it happens to be, I've got to do things. So as an operational person, the view of my Yardi is much different than the view of, say, the accountant who needs to run financial statements, ensure that the cash flow is there, the bank recs are there. I'm reporting financially up to the owner or owners or the institutional owners, depending on what the ownership structures are. Within the single system, we have different views into our system. So if I'm saying maintenance, I've got a maintenance view, and I've got a maintenance system that generates the data, but it allows me to run my entire operation within our maintenance applications. But those maintenance applications are tied to the property, and the property has things like expenses and income, right? And if I'm a property manager and I'm going into the property and I'm posting rents I've got invoices coming in for expenses and I'm approving all of those invoices, I'm generating the POs out of the system, I'm doing my invoice approvals out of the system, that gives me visibility up to the accounting teams who are looking at that, who created the budgets along with the operations teams probably a year before then, that's monitoring my expenses against my budgets, all in a single system that roll up into my financial reporting. And then above that, if you really want to get fancy, then you have investors. And all those investors invest in funds and have partnerships, and all those different ownership complexities around all that different kind of ownership sit in a different layer of our software. And what do they need? They need the underlying trial balance level data that generates from my operations and my budgets and my financial accounting all the way up to the fund level, so they have visibility on their returns on investments. And all that return calculation is also driven by Yardi software. So you have full transparency from an owner or partnership all the way down to a single transaction that might have been issuing a work order or an invoice out to a supplier for work that needed to be done, or a receipt of rent that was taken in by a tenant, whether it be res or commercial, what have you, it doesn't matter. All of that is fully transparent up into an investment solution. That is the data. That's a single version of the truth. That's the efficiencies that we try to bring in for all of our clients.
Yeah, it's so smart. Like in our industry, you have to piecemeal all these different softwares together and try to overlap, and you have to put in the data multiple times. So I wish we had something like that for our industry.
And we could talk about it now, but it took a while getting here. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It took a while getting here, but now that we're here, we don't stop. So as a company, we're always innovative. And as a software company, if you're not innovative, you're done. You stop growing. And so what big thing for us as a company is always to innovate. What are we doing? How can we do it better? How can we automate the mundane? And then so you're making companies more efficient. And even though we have something, is there a better way of doing it? Can we improve it? Can we make it better, make it simpler, make it better, make it faster and more effective? And those types of discussions are always ongoing. Those developments are always ongoing.
Awesome. Yardi expanded globally, as you mentioned, while maintaining strong local operations, especially in Canada. What key market trends do you see in Canadian real estate, and how is Yardi positioning itself to address these trends? And you already mentioned AI. I'm sure that's one big one.
Yeah, so AI is a big one. But so I mentioned we have all these offices all over the world, right? So that allows us to stay local. So in Canada, Yardi Canada Limited is focused in Canada. Our 500 employees, the majority of them are focused in Canada. Not all, because we do a lot of software development and R&D in Canada that is used throughout the world for Yardi. But those frontline staff, the staff that are dealing with our products and our clients, are focused here. They're not distracted by other areas. And the same thing in the UK, or in Europe, or in Australia, or in Hong Kong, or in other areas that we have offices, and throughout the United States. We're allowed to be local because we focus on what the local requirements are in real estate and ensure that our software are meeting the local requirements in real estate. Remember I said we grew as a company, we followed our clients. By doing that, allowed us to understand the local requirements in real estate and where our clients were growing, and we designed our technology and our applications to be able to be modified easily to meet those local requirements. So we stay focused, and in Canada, we stay focused here. We've been blessed in Canada. We have 85 to 90% market share in both multifamily and commercial real estate in this country. And that is an enormous blessing to us. It's a lot of hard work, but it also comes with a series of responsibilities. So whenever I talk to our staff internally, I'm saying you don't sit back and say, look how big we are and how much market share we have. That is not the goal. When you have that kind of market share, the goal is being responsible and being proactive and ensuring the fact that we have to show up day in and day out to make sure our clients are successful. And if we make a mistake, because we are people, then you have to look back and see that mistake, admit to the mistake, make amends, and rebuild the relationship to make sure that you've got that strong relationship with your client. That, you know what? We made a mistake here. We're so sorry. This is how we're going to fix it. And you make sure you move forward in a very positive way with that client. So the client understands that you're a partner. You're just not a supplier. You're a partner of their business. And, and sometimes in partnerships, we know with anything, if we're married or we have relationships with people, there's always ups and downs. It's never going to be smooth, right? We're all people. And it's the same thing in business. And you have to be able to understand that within our business, understand that within your client base, and ensure the fact that we do things and we do them right. And if we don't, then we say, we made a mistake. Let's fix it and let's go. Let's move forward in a positive manner. And that's been a lot to the success. And that's what we deem as more successful, not necessarily the market share, but those long-term relationships that we've had with clients for decades.
Yeah, that's incredible, and not taking for granted. I mean, you have, like you said, you have the majority of the market share in Canada, but clearly don't take it for granted and appreciate each one.
You're right.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
Appreciate every single client. I was doing some emails about a week ago with a gentleman, and he's been a client since before I got involved in 1989. He became a Yardi client in 1987. He is still a client today. And when I got to meet him, when I got involved with Yardi in 1989, 1990, and I got to meet him because he was already a client, he was in this little house, had this little property management business, managing a bunch of condos. And I came down to help him on some stuff. And today, he had little children. His little children are now helping him run the company. And he's kind of stepping back, and because, he's out of an age that, he's built this company, a significant organization, but they're still clients today. 30 some odd years later, 35, 37 years, they're still clients today. And they grew from being very small to a little bit bigger, to bigger, to the size they are today. And they still used our products all along the way. And every once in a while, there's something he needs to talk about, and he sends me an email, and we exchange, or we get on the phone, and we fix whatever we want to fix, or do whatever we need to do, and we keep going. And we've been doing it for 35 years together. And it's great to be able to do that, right? And those are the success stories that really motivate you and say, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's amazing when you pick the right technology, how much of an impact it can make on your business. We've seen it ourselves. It's game changing, literally game changing, how we can operate and how we can grow. So clearly Yardi has done that for many, many individuals and businesses.
Yeah.
So.
And that being said, we're not all things to all people, right? Like we're not all things to all people, and you can't try to be all things to all people. And if you are, that's really not an achievable goal, right? But for those who work with us, we continue down a path of being successful with them.
Awesome, Peter. I am a little conscious of time. You mentioned you have a hard stop. So am I right? We have about 10 minutes. Is that correct? Or can we push it to about 10?
We have about 10 minutes, but let's keep going. This is great.
Okay. Because I got lots of questions, and I wish we had more time. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'm gonna skip a few potentially here because there's so much here to ask. I wanted to ask. This was very interesting. When I was looking at your website, I saw that Yardi recently got 60%. Actually, I saw this on the Wikipedia page. 60% equity stake in WeWork. This is a fascinating move, particularly as flexible workspaces grow in demand. Again, Yardi being innovative and looking into the future. How do you see this partnership shaping the future of office space and Yardi's role in managing these environments?
So Yardi had co-working technology. We sold to the co-working space. So we would sell to the WeWorks of the world and their competitors. It was one of our areas of real estate technology, which we sold to. We recognized co-working as its own real estate asset class many, many years ago, and have developed products to sell and meet the needs of those companies. WeWork was migrating over to a Yardi platform, and over a number of years, ran into financial difficulties during a multi-year project we had with them as they migrated from their technologies into our technologies. And, it was one of those opportunities that presented to the owner of Yardi Systems at that time, on would he be interested in assisting getting that company out of receivership. And he did that privately. He did that on his own. It's not through Yardi Systems Inc., but it's through an investment firm that he had set up to make that purchase. And, we often get asked, like, why would you do that? And it wasn't necessarily to say, well, they were a client, we would have lost the business. It wasn't that. We recognized that WeWork was so big, if they failed, that would have a very negative effect on the entire co-working industry. Now, not everybody would agree with that, because if I'm in a co-working space, it means, well, maybe I'll have more clients. It's one less competitor, and it's a big competitor. Where are all these people going to go? But a lot of times, those kinds of failures can set a whole industry back that could take years to recover from, and can really offset that. Where we see co-working as a direction of the future. Like we're looking at co-working and saying that is a brand new asset class, no different than office as an asset class or multifamily as an asset class, that this is its own asset class, and it's going to grow considerably in the next number of years moving forward, in the next decade. People want the flexibility. They want to be able to work from anywhere. They want to be able to do things as well as work. So I'll give you the example. I was flying into Vancouver. So what do I need when I fly to Vancouver? I need a flight, I need a hotel, and I need an office space, because I'm not going to be at clients all the time. And that's what we're looking at as flex office space, which is you need all those things. So you book your hotel, you book your flight, and you book your office. And I'm going to need some meeting space because I'm going to meet some potential clients or clients, and I need a meeting space. And I also need lunch for everybody, because we're going to do this over lunch. And that's where co-working is strong. I don't need to have an office in every single city in which I have clients, in which I'm visiting, and or our staff, that you can use office flex space like this to be able to drive forward and conduct business like you would conduct it as if you had an office there. And it gives companies that flexibility. Yardi uses flex office space in its mix of offices, as well as we use it when we're traveling. Now, we happen to use WeWork for lots of obvious reasons, but if it wasn't, we could use others. When we build our office technologies, our technology around co-working space, we view it as a commodity, meaning that if you're using Yardi's applications, I could book in, say, at the WeWorks, but I can also book in at other co-working providers, not just one. Just like when I'm trying to book an airline, I'm not going to log in and see one airline. I'm going to log in and I might see a variety of airlines in which I'm going to pick who I'm going to choose to fly with based on my requirements, when I need to be there, the cost, etc. Co-working is going to be like booking an airline ticket, right? I book my airline ticket across multiple airlines. I'm going to book my office across multiple providers of shared office space. And that's how we look at it moving forward. Our technologies are designed to do it that way. And we see this as a major new asset class, and it's going to expand over the next decade or so. the pandemic was a major change, right? The pandemic was like, I'm doing this from home today. It's a Friday, and on Fridays I work from home. And through the week I'm in the office, but today I work from home. And if I didn't have a home, if maybe I've had a small condo, I might be at a WeWork space, right? And doing it that way. So we do see people want, and that new generation of employee wants that flexibility.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Again, just another example of being visionaries from Anant and Yardi. And yeah, it's really, really smart. As a member of the Toronto Metro University Real Estate Advisory Committee, how do you see the relationship between academics and the real estate industry growing, particularly in the realm of technology and property management?
So I have been involved with Toronto Metro for a number of years and on the Real Estate Advisory Council, and I chair that committee now. I've chaired it for a few years. But more and more, you're seeing technology coming into real estate at many different levels. We talk about it from financial accounting and ERP and operations. But when you look at a physical building, a physical property, more and more technologies are being added to these existing properties and new properties that are built, regardless of asset class. And students, new graduates, are savvy with technology to begin with. They're not afraid of technology, right? And haven't been for some time, but expect it in the workplace. When they're looking at an employers, they expect that they don't want to step back and saying, well, this company is not current with their technology. Why do I want to work there? They want to be able to come out and know what technologies are current. In universities and in colleges, it is important that these students understand and have exposure to technologies that are in the industry in which they are trying to get a degree in. In our case, I'm involved in the real estate degree program at Toronto Metro. And so it's very much what's available and what technologies we're bringing into the university so these students have hands-on experience coming out of university and saying, I've got experience in Yardi, or I've got experience in Argus, or I've got experience in whatever that product happens to be. And so when they hit the employment market, the employer says, they have some experience or been exposed to or have an understanding of these kinds of technologies. That is a direct benefit to my company. I can take that and make it better with that individual, but it's a direct benefit. And so more and more, and the universities are starting to see this, that technology is going to have more of a play in education moving forward as in the past. And that it's not just the use of an iPhone or an Android device or whatever, the day-to-day technology. It's the technologies in which you're special your degree in, and how does that play into the future? And employers are wanting it, and the university is now starting to deliver it. And the students also want it, right? They want to
Makes a lot of sense, especially when you have 85, 90% of the market share. It's a no-brainer. If you're going into that industry, you should understand that technology.
Yeah, that coming out. And it gives you that advantage, and it helps your employer, and it just helps that transition from graduate into full-time employment.
Yeah, brilliant. My last question, for sake of lack of time, I'm going to skip to the last one. But if you could implement Yardi's technology solutions at any famous property, which property would that be, and why?
I love old. I love traveling through Europe, and Italy is probably one of my most favorite countries in the world. Maybe it's because my background's Italian, but I love going, and my wife and I try to get there every year, along with our family. And when you see all this old architecture that stood this test of time, and it's been out there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and not thousands of years, to me, it's portfolios that have those types of properties. You can go downtown to a big city and see all the skyscrapers, big office buildings that are very, very cool, and their architecture is great, and many of those companies use us. But to see some of this older these older properties, and the organizations that own those properties manage it and continue to manage properties that were built long before we were ever born, and our parents and our grandparents, those are the things that really excite me. Just because you're in the business, I don't think it excites the average person, but it does me. And I think the organization we don't have, and I would love to get, and just going to Italy, would be the Catholic Church. Now, it's not to manage all the churches. That's not it. But the Catholic Church has properties in which they own all over the world, and they've owned them for hundreds of years. It would be great to provide a solution in terms of managing their portfolio. And it's not it's just because of the age and the history that goes along with all that and the stories that you hear. And organizations, not just them, but organizations like them would be very neat to be able to do.
I love that answer for many, many reasons. I was just in Italy, happened to see Papa Francesco while there. He popped out of his window and did the tour of the Vatican and went up to the top of the Basilica of St. Peter's and the history and just the architecture, and it's just so rich with thousands of years of personalities, and it's a living,
and culture
breathing,
and history with it. And it's great to say, you know what it is, Jared? It would be great to be, well, we were just a little part of that history. We were just a little blip of that history moving forward. And the Catholic Church is an example, but it could be many others, right? And many other organizations and that have been around and stood the test of time throughout the world, and have these cultural style properties anywhere in the world. It would be great to be part of that little piece of history with them.
I love it. Peter, I could honestly, we could have doubled this time easily. There's so much I wanted to dig into, but for lack of time, we had to move faster.
No,
but
not a problem.
thank you,
Jared,
so
I'm
much
happy to come back
on.
if you ever want to do this again and continue the conversation. It's my pleasure, and it's great speaking with you and spending this last 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much, and all the best to Yardi. May it continue to maintain market share and grow, and all the best to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and you too, Jared. Thank you.